Hey there, geeks! You're listening to Real Geek News!
Our bi-weekly podcast where we geek out about all your favorite geeky news and genre entertainment.
I'm your web slinger, Kevin Andrew Rivera.
I'm not associated with any web, I'm Raul Ceballos.
We got 2 weeks worth of news to talk about, so without further ado,
let's get geeky!
Yes, as you can all tell, all you fellow listeners, there is something we do need to discuss today, which is our Madam Web stuff. I know we got other topics first, but do you want to just jump right to it, Raul?
Alright, screw it. Let's just jump right into Madam Web.
Why not? Why freaking not?
Let's talk about this. We have to talk about this, guys. We got to talk about Madam Web. We got to talk about Sony, alright?
We got to talk about Sony.
You want to take it or should I take it?
No, after you, please, by all means.
Right. So, of course, Madam Web came out, how many days ago? Like what?
Wednesday, on Valentine's Day. That was 3 days ago?
What a romantic time. What a romantic film to put this out in. Kevin, have you seen Madam Web yet?
Absolutely not.
Neither have I.
Oh, God.
I don't even know if I'm going to see it. At least my wife wants to hate watch it. So maybe I might hate watch it with my wife. This movie's come out on Wednesday, and it's just gotten so critically panned. And I mean, are we surprised? All the signs were pointing to it being a bad movie. The studio clearly didn't feel confident enough to show us more, show us another trailer, and with the review embargo going up like the day before or something like that, there was no faith in anybody that this movie was going to be good. And then finally it came out, people started watching it, and the reviews come in, and of course, it's bad. Everybody thinks it's bad. For the most part, people think it's bad. So let's read into here's an article from The Hollywood Reporter, all right? Madam Web was finally revealed to the public Monday night after the Sony Marvel film held its premiere in Los Angeles, and the first reactions have already hit social media. The superhero movie stars Dakota Johnson in the title role, a woman who develops psychic abilities. The cast also includes Sydney Sweeney, Celeste O'Connor, Isabella Merced, Tahar Rahim, Mike Epps, Emma Roberts, and Adam Scott. Directed by S.J. Clarkson, Madam Web was written by Clarkson, Matt Sazma, Burke Sharpless, and Claire Parker. So here's let's skip ahead a little bit, all right?
Okay.
Full reviews for Madam Web dropped on Tuesday morning, with the Hollywood Reporter's review calling the film an airless and stilted endeavor. And Livia I'm going to butcher this, Girkai, writing that its lack of imagination would be astounding if it wasn't so expected. Read on for a sampling of the first reactions from the film after the premiere before all the reviews came in. So then you continue on, and then here's just a barrage of Twitter reviews coming out on the day. So from Matt Ramos, Morbius was better. From Chris Parker, Madam Web is an embarrassing mess. Talented stars wasted on probably the worst comic book movie I've ever seen, filled with atrocious dialogue, awkward editing, and all-around laughable structure. I sat there baffled, scene by scene. Someone approve this. The memes will redeem it. James Preston Poole, Madam Web is totally fine. There's really not a lot to say here. The leads are charming. Dakota Johnson is a witchy weirdo. The slasher/Final Destination meets superheroes vibe are there, but there's just not a whole lot to it. Not a disaster, just kind of there. That's kind of a mediocre kind of response. The Hollywood Handle, Madam Web is a clunky, poorly written mess and sloppy movie packed with some mediocre editing and performances. Even though it had solid cinematography and an interesting concept, it couldn't be saved due to its terrible execution. And it just goes on and on and on and on. This movie, for the most part, is just not liked. I don't want to say hated, because I guess that's too strong. Or maybe I'll say hated. A lot of people hate this movie.
Oh, boy.
Kevin, we're talking about a movie from Sony. You know, Sony lately has not had a great run with their kind of spin-off Spideyverse, live action at least. Except for maybe Venom. Venom did really well. But ever since then, they've been struggling. They got not Morbius. They got Kraven the Hunter coming out soon. And then supposedly they're still going forward with El Muerto. What's going on, Kevin? What is the state of Sony right now, based on what this is telling us? What do you think?
This alone makes me feel like they're only making these movies just because they're contractually obligated to make Spider-Man movies, due to the fact that if they don't, they'd give the rights back to Marvel Studios or Disney. So that is the first thing that comes to my mind when I hear this crazy news about Madam Web. But also, all right, listen, I have like a spider sense, I would say,
Oh.
about this, where whenever I watch a trailer, I just know how bad it's gonna be or how good it's gonna be. And usually I'm right. Like I go watch the movie and I'm like, yep, it's exactly what I thought it was gonna be. Cool. They gave me what I thought I was getting. And this movie, I saw the trailer and my gut was pulling me down going, no, don't, it's not, no, it's not gonna work, dude, no. But I was trying to be so hopeful and say, no, please, it could be good, it could be all right, because you know me, I'm like a glass half full kind of guy.
You
And
very
so
much are, yes.
we see this news come out and people talking about it. People are saying it's worse than Morbius. Oh my God, Jesus.
I didn't believe that could be possible.
Fun story about Morbius. When I went to go watch Morbius, I remember I sat next to this couple, and there was this guy and his girlfriend, and the dude smelled like crap the entire movie. He smelled so bad that I thought it was a representation of what I was watching at the same time. So Morbius was crap. So if that's the case, I can't imagine who's gonna sit next to me when I watch Madam Web, dude. It's gonna be awful. It's just gonna be like some dude drenched in trash, just sitting next to me.
Somebody who just rolled around in pig feces or
The
something.
exact. Yes. So that's yes. God, I really wanted to give Madam Web a chance, but now that I've heard all this news, like there's this part of me that wants to push back so badly. But I just think Sony has to start getting their shit together. I think they need to understand that we're not just trying to make money, quote unquote. Like you're trying to make things that have to be good for the quality style of superhero films that we always receive for the most part. And listen, that's not to say that Sony alone has been doing poorly in their superhero stuff. I mean, you've got movies like Aquaman. Marvel's kind of been falling down a little bit with their Ant-Man movie, and a couple of other ones that they've got here. Every bad movie that's been coming out recently, there's been a lot in a row that have been coming out.
I think it's safe to say, though, that even though I haven't seen Madam Web, I think it's safe to say that Madam Web is probably better than the worst Marvel movie. It's just the way it sounds to me.
You think Madam Web is better than the worst Marvel movie? So even better than Thor: Dark World?
I'm sorry.
You mean the other way around?
No, I mean the other way around.
The worst Marvel movie is still better than Madam Web.
Yes, that's what I meant to say.
Okay.
That's what I meant to
man,
say.
you scared me for a second.
No. Even the worst Marvel movie is still better than Madam Web. I feel confident in saying that, having not seen Madam Web.
Yes, that's understandable. Yes, I agree. Dark World is probably better than Madam Web, I'm sure. Again, we're people who haven't seen this movie yet, so we can't say our exact opinion on it other than what we've been hearing. But I don't want to watch this movie, but I also kind of really do, because I know it would drive some of our buddies crazy if we force them to go watch it with us.
I wonder if I'll still enjoy it because it's so bad it's good. I still can't get a gauge from anybody whether it's just so bad it's bad or so bad it's good. If it's so bad it's good, I don't know, maybe it'll be a fun time at the movie theater. Just hate watching this thing.
I was also on Twitter last night, and I saw somebody posting on Twitter, no spoilers or anything. I mean, it was a spoiler for me, but, I won't spoil it for you guys. The guy basically wrote on Twitter, like, here's 10 things that happen in this movie, and one of them is a lie. You tell me which one's a lie. And I read through the list, and as I kept reading this list of things that happened throughout the movie, I'm like, no, that doesn't happen. No. Oh, God, no. No! Just screaming to the heavens. How does he do it?
A little prestige reference.
A little prestige right there. But yeah, I think how does this movie happen? How do we come to this conclusion? How do we come to this moment in time that this is the movie Sony wants to put out? What, Raul? Okay, let me ask you this, Raul. Are you excited about Kraven the Hunter?
No, I am not. I can feel. I was maybe a little bit interested, even though the trailer didn't really do too much to convince me. Do you know why they call me the Rhino? It was. Oh God. There was nothing. Yeah.
No, go ahead. You keep going. You keep going.
No, I mean, whatever little interest I had in Craven is all gone now. I just, it's clear to me that Sony just doesn't give a crap anymore, and they're not even trying to make good movies. It doesn't, it just seems like, again, like you said, Kevin, they just want to hang on to the rights. And it's just so disappointing to see that they're just like, it's almost like the Corman Fantastic Four movie, where they just made a crappy film and just to hold on to the rights. But the thing with that movie, they didn't even release it.
Mm.
You know, you'd think that maybe Sony would have at least had the I don't know, the intelligence to be like, you know what, it's a bad movie, so let's just not release it and have have a tax write off and then keep the rights.
My only thought is that, oh, but it's interconnected with our next movie, so we have to use it.
Is it though?
And I'm like,
is it, and how?
I don't even know what the end credit thing is for this movie yet. So for all we know, it could be a new Spider-Man shows up at the very end or something like that, or Morbius shows up and goes, "It's Morbin time," and then they're like, let's Morb.
What
you know?
What are they even building to? That's the thing. I don't even know what they're doing. They had Venom and Venom 2, which were okay. I like the first Venom a little more than Venom Let There Be Carnage. Then they crap out Morbius, which was awful. And then this movie. And then where are we headed with the Sony verse? We talked about it last episode. There's no creative force in charge over at Sony who's driving these things, and there's no indication of what they're planning on doing. There's no indication of that at all. And then Craven the Hunter's coming out, and Muerto, like, what is going on? It's just all over the place.
I mean,
what
if
are they
anything,
building to?
The only connection so far I've seen is the end of Morbius, where Vulture shows up and goes, "Hey, I don't know why I'm here. It's got something to do with this Spider-Man fella. You want to team up?" And then the Doctor's like, "Hell yeah, it's Morbin time." And
it
then,
means
like,
nothing, though. It's
all I can see is a multiversal Sinister Six, which they should have just done that for No Way Home. We've said this a million times. Come on, Sony, get it together.
They were close. They almost got there. Let me ask you, Kevin. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I feel bad because Sony, while they do put out some good Spider-Man stuff, I mean, Spider-Verse, Spider-Man 1 and 2 with Sam Raimi, I mean...
The animated stuff, yeah.
The animated stuff's pretty cool. I mean, while they do that, it also feels like they're squeezing it dry, hoping to get the best out of it, just because... Like, dude, you just shared your favorite action figure with Marvel Studios by giving them Spider-Man, and then now you're giving yourself a rule saying... And we can't use our Spider-Man for our movies anymore until Marvel's done using them. So we're going to just play with our other toys that no one else wants to play with. Why? Yeah. Like, just keep working with them and just pump out a Spider-Man movie as much as you can with Marvel and give them more money or so. I don't know what you got to do, but
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why, because whenever their view is probably that whenever this deal with Marvel is done, they have an established interconnected universe that they can bring their Spider-Man back into. But the universe that they're establishing does not have good foundations. There's nothing, there's no consistency at all, and we don't even know what they're doing. Madam Web, Madam Web never even had her own comic series, why Madam Web? I don't know. It just feels like they're just grasping at straws here. Let me ask you, Kevin, what does Sony do now? I mean, because I don't know. I'm at the point where I'm like, should they just sell Spider-Man back to Marvel? I feel like they should, because what else are they going to do? What else are they going to do after the critical mess that this movie is, and they got Kraven the Hunter? I don't see that anybody's got any goodwill towards Sony. Should they give Spider-Man back? Is it time?
I think
they throw in the towel?
Spider-Verse 3 is gonna make everybody go, "Oh, so cool, Sony! Great job, Sony!" And then they're gonna go, "See, we're good at what we do. Here's Kraven," and then Kraven's even worse than Madam Web, and then we all go, "Oh yeah," and then they go, "But look, we've got Spider-Verse 1, 2, and 3. Okay, then just stick to animation, Sony. Why don't you just do that? Just stick to the animated universe and do things with that, you know? Get Chris Miller, I'm forgetting all their names right now. The guys who make Spider-Verse,
Phil Lord and Chris Miller.
that's the one. Phil Lord and Chris Miller, get them to just work on a multiversal Spider-Verse universe together. Put it on a streaming service and then call it a day. You know, just give us something that they want to work on. The problem is that they don't have people in line that want to make this the best it can possibly be. Let me take that back because I don't want to insult any artist here. I know the writers for Madam Web are getting a lot of crap.
Same writers as Morbius.
Yeah, but it's. Yeah. This is something, you know, I will give a shout out to John Campia from YouTube here, who has said this type of thing multiple times, and I agree with him, which is you are not putting yourself in the road of success by going back and going, let's see what has not worked. Let's continue to use the people that have not let this stuff work. So, like, if you're going back and looking at the writers from Morbius going, well, they made that universe, so we gotta keep them. No, look at how much money it didn't make. Go back, get new writers, make sure you have casting, you're casting good actors who want to work on these movies. I think the problem might be that maybe the people they were hoping to hire don't want to work with them because they're like, no, that's not the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's just Sony trying to save their rights. And that's basically, I don't know, the heart's not there. You know what I mean? It's not there. Yeah. And I feel like that's a problem that they need to start focusing on. You can't just be making these movies thinking that there's a plan. Who's the person making the plan? Amy Pascal? Is Amy Pascal putting things together?
Well, like we were saying last episode, she seems like more the business side of it. We need a creative.
Yeah.
You know, we need a James Gunn, a Kevin Feige. We need somebody in that position to help guide it creatively and narratively, you know, build the story out. It doesn't seem to me like we have anybody there.
Yeah. Well, also, let me throw in that when the first trailer for Madam Web came out, Dakota Johnson, who plays Madam Web, apparently switched agencies right after, like almost immediately afterwards, she announced that she was moving to a different agency.
She's like, clearly you've done nothing for me.
Oh my God! Like, can you imagine?
You made me take this role.
If I was Dakota Johnson and I saw that trailer and I went, oh no, I'm out of here, guys. Like, I'm sorry. Why would you do this to me? My God. But even she's been, like, if you listen to her interviews, I know she's just a genuinely awkwardly funny person in general. But she also kind of gives me a bit of an, you know, I'm uncomfortable about this whole thing and I don't want to be here kind of situation. But hey, listen, if you did 50 Shades of Grey, I don't think anything should make you that uncomfortable at this point. But like Madam Web, I mean, that's another thing. Speaking of trailers, Raul, let's talk about some good trailer, because did you know the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer dropped on Super Bowl Sunday?
Did it now?
I know! It made the most viewed trailer of all time. This comes to us from Deadline. Marvel Studios' Deadpool and Wolverine trailer, 24 hours after airing during the Super Bowl, was seen by 365 million people online, making it the most viewed trailer of all time. Yeah. This beats the 24-hour viewership total for Sony Marvel Studios' Spider-Man No Way Home, which was seen by 355 million. Man. All right.
Awesome. Yeah.
Well, first things first, let me debunk something here, because apparently there was other news outlets that were saying that 150 million of these viewers were from the Super Bowl on TV who didn't actually see the full trailer. They actually saw the sneak peek thing that was like
spot. Yeah.
Yeah, that was saying go watch the trailer online at the Super Bowl, you know, commercial stuff. So technically there's people who are claiming it's actually less than that number. It should be like 255 million or something like that. But at the same time, I'm like, bro, it's still a lot. That's still 200 and something million views. Well, are you kidding me?
I'm assuming that they're just strictly looking at like the YouTube numbers, you know.
That's just what Hollywood Reporter was saying, was that, well, actually in technicality, which I'm like, listen, technicality's fine and all, but like,
it's a different trailer though. It's not the same trailer. Yeah.
Over 200 million views in general still, to me, says it's going to make $1 billion. Like, this movie is going to be insane. So
nothing to slouch at. Yeah.
Whew. I feel like it's just, somebody just announced the best news on the planet, and there's this one guy who's jealous that goes, "Yeah, well, he has ugly hair." It's like, okay, thank you for that. He's still the greatest person on the planet with all this great news. Come on, this the same applies here. The news reporters that said that, I'm like, dude, this is still so many views. This movie's gonna be, it's gonna blow up everything. The
Yeah.
multiverse is gonna be destroyed by Deadpool. I don't know. It's gonna be crazy. I think, to me, once I got to see the characters in it and what the story might be, I got even more hyped than I thought I would. I was already hyped, and it just blew me through the roof. But I think, once I heard TVA was gonna be a part of it, I was like, yes, like that's makes sense. End of Deadpool 2, we got the TVA showing up and asking him to do things for him. I don't think this is a Loki situation. I don't think they were trying to get him to hunt down himself or anything. I
Hmm.
think he has to go out and do something else. Maybe go after the twin sister of Xavier, which we will talk about. Because I don't know if you
Mm.
saw this in the trailer. There was a bald headed person, and
Yes.
people are saying it's going to be a girl who is playing the twin sister of Xavier. And now, that being said, Raul, I don't know if you saw this in the comics. Deadpool kills the multiverse, or the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There's a
I have
scene.
read that. I've read that comic.
There's a scene where Xavier tries to stop Deadpool and starts to read his mind, and he starts to see all the fourth wall breaks, and it blows up Xavier's brain because he just couldn't handle the truth of what he
Mm.
really is in a comic book. Ah! And I think that's how they're gonna kill this twin sister. That's just my thoughts. That's my
Cassandra
thoughts.
Nova is is
That's the one.
Xavier's sister.
Yes. Raul, how did you feel about this trailer though? What did you think about all this?
Oh man, it was everything I hoped it to be. It was so awesome. I mean, and of course, I'm so happy that it's the Deadpool you expect. It's the same Deadpool. You got just like in that first scene when the TVA comes out and they're like, you need to come with us or whatever. They pull out their pruning sticks or whatever. He like makes a pegging joke. He's like, pegging's not new to me, but it is for Disney. And then looks at the
Wink.
camera. It's like, all right, this is Deadpool. This
Cool.
is I feel much better now. I feel confident in well, it was in the hands of the same writers as the first two, and Ryan Reynolds is just as involved. And we talked about it before. Like Disney gave them carte blanche. They were just basically like do whatever and didn't restrict them at all. So I'm so happy to see that here.
Mm.
So I'm excited. This is gonna be the same Deadpool. No holding back with all the jokes and the raunchy stuff. So looks great. TVA totally makes sense. You
I like
know.
the new design too. The new design of the TVA.
Yeah. It looks a little bit different, and then the facilities at the TVA look slightly different. Maybe they're just in like a different part of the building or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
different department.
Yeah, different department. Yeah, I'm curious as to what the story is here. Like TVA needs him for something, right? But if you notice later on in the trailer, he's fighting TVA agents. So it's like maybe at some point he turns, for
Mm.
whatever reason. So I wonder what it is that they're wanting him to do. And then of course there's like some scenes there that I remember I sent you back to back pictures, like side by side pictures of him in the snow, that snowy forest, and it looks a lot like the snowy forest from Age of Ultron when they're fighting,
Oh
and
yes.
they're about to attack the Hydra base, which is really interesting. And of course, you got shots of what we think might be the Void, right?
Mm.
We're not 100% sure, but it looks like you've got the 20th Century Fox logo in the background, all like, all collapsed and stuff. And it looks like these different things that look like maybe some things from different universes that may have been pruned and
Yeah.
sent to the void. You got Aaron Stafford coming back as Pyro. That quick glimpse of him, like, oh, this is the best part or whatever. Um,
Which, may I add, we just watched X2 last weekend,
right, that's right.
and I hadn't seen it for a long time, so I basically was watching it as if it was a new movie for me. And
Yeah,
it was right after I'd seen that movie that then you see Pyro in the trailer the next day. It was freaking awesome. I was like, oh man, like I'm so glad I'm starting to watch all these X-Men movies. Next weekend's gonna be X3, so I gotta watch that. I'm just catching up to all these Deadpool films and all these Fox films until we get to Deadpool. I think I should add in the Fantastic Four movies as well, just because I'd never seen
Hmm.
the second or the third Fantastic Four movie with Michael B. Jordan, um,
Mm.
but I'd seen the other two originally. I know I heard it's bad. I heard the first half is good, but then the second half you're like, oh, what are you guys doing?
I think the Josh Trank, Michael B. Jordan, I think that one's worse than the original two, than the first two even. I just
Ooh, sucks.
well,
Man.
what do you think is going to happen here? What do you think is the potentially the plot? What do you think they're recruiting Deadpool for?
All we have to go off of is the fact that the main I think the guy's name is Paradox, the character who's working with Deadpool,
Right.
tells Deadpool you could be the multiversal hero, and then he goes, "Oh, I'm Marvel Jesus," which that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Really good on Ryan Reynolds for making that joke. Um, but yeah, I don't know what the problem is. I don't know why he has to show up to these timelines to help with something. Like, I'm not sure what it is he's looking for, what they're looking for. Does this story take place before the events of Loki season 1 and 2, or after, or in
Yeah.
between? How does that work? All the TVA members, like you said, everything kind of looks a little different from what it looks like in the show. Um, so there's definitely a lot to pay attention to, but that's okay because this is kind of like a long teaser trailer that only gave us a glimpse of what's to come. So I have no idea what the story is. All I know is that I'm so hyped, especially with that like 360 shot of Deadpool putting all his like weaponry
Oh,
together and
where he's loading the
aiming.
guns with it. Yeah, where he's loading the guns without using his hands, and he's like flip. Oh my god, that was
That
so awesome.
that to me, like, that moment was the trailer. Like,
Yeah,
that's the whole point of the trailer, was to hype you up. It wasn't to tell us the story. It was just to go, we're back, baby.
yeah,
Hell,
yeah.
even with Deadpool with his splits, like going up and then going,
Oh, yeah,
oh, it's like, oh, it gave me that sense of we're back, baby.
yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
God. To
There's
which I
another.
was like, yes, that's exactly, I don't care.
Yeah,
Whatever the story is, dude, I don't even care. I just want to see Ryan Reynolds be Deadpool. This is gonna be incredible.
yeah.
Plus, with Wolverine coming back with Hugh
That's right.
Jackman?
Hugh Jackman. Yeah, you got a little glimpse of it. You saw him in like silhouette, right? Like Deadpool's like laying on the ground. He's like, "Come on, help me, you big ape.
Yeah,
Help me up here."
and also the fact that we're gonna possibly get to see him as Patches, which is the secret
Right,
identity he has
right.
in
With the
Madripoor.
white Madripoor. Yeah,
So for all you listeners who don't know what this is, in the comics, Wolverine goes to this city called Madripoor, and he goes under disguise with an eye patch and calls himself Patches. And I think he's either a bartender, a waiter, or something. He's incognito, basically. No one's supposed to know who he is. He's not Magneto. He's incognito. Boom-ts. I wish I had that button right now, but I don't. Anyways, that's gonna be really cool. I hope it's like a red herring, though. I hope we see the back of Hugh Jackman's body in the white suit and everything for Patches, and we walk up to him, and then it's actually Daniel Radcliffe, like dressed up as this multiverse version of Hugh Jackman.
yeah.
Um,
Everybody has been fan casting him.
my only fear, Raul,
Yeah,
is that we have so much hype for this movie, and there's so many people who are saying this is gonna be the thing that saves the multiverse. This is gonna be the thing that saves the MCU. This is gonna change everything, everything. I just want to make sure that we focus on the main emotional storyline, like the
mm,
through line of this movie, which is, if you watch the past two Deadpool films, it's always about a very private and specific relationship that Deadpool has. The first one is his love with his, fiance slash girlfriend, who I think is not his girlfriend anymore in this third movie, possibly.
yeah. I was gonna bring that up. Yeah,
But then Deadpool 2 is about building a family and like him gaining these friends that can be with him for the rest of his life.
yeah.
So now in this third movie, it's like, okay, we had girlfriends, we had family, now we have children? I don't know. I have
I,
no idea.
I don't know, but it definitely. I'd like to think that they're gonna keep that emotional through line, um, throughout because there is definitely something going on with him and Vanessa. You know, they don't. It doesn't seem like they're together anymore. She calls him buddy, and there's like
Mm.
awkward kind of silences that they show, and he says like, "Oh, it's been a tough few years," and it seems like they're kind of on rocky ground, or or at least not romantically involved anymore. So they might. It looks like they might keep that through line.
I still think that maybe because he's immortal or something, he realizes all his family's gonna die anyways, and so the only true person that can be around him from now on is Logan, Wolverine, because he also is immortal. So maybe, and that's why.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's all coming clear to me now. It's called Deadpool and Wolverine because the movie's about them being best friends and like
Besties.
they hate each other but they love each other at the same time.
I'm
Maybe
so
that's the
excited for this
relationship.
dynamic.
Oh,
Yeah.
I also still think Vanessa, if he goes to the MCU, like Wade should die for some reason, and then obviously he'll recover. But when he dies and goes to wherever he has to go, he meets Lady Death, and Lady Death is Vanessa in that multiverse.
Because in the comics.
Yeah, so that way he'll be like, "Oh my
Well, no,
God!"
in the comics she's not Lady Death.
So he could let go of her.
But he courts
say,
Lady Death.
Right.
He courts Lady Death in the comics, and they could very well just mesh the two together.
Right, exactly. Like in this multiverse,
like they're known to do.
Lady Death just happens to look like Vanessa, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Wow, that's awesome! Like I want to die all the time now just to see Lady Death and see my girlfriend, because my girlfriend is like technically they kind of did that in Deadpool too. So when he dies, he sees Vanessa in heaven, but like now in the MCU, she's Lady Death. There you go, problem solved.
There's some theories I heard people kind of throw around about like one of the reasons they want him. The TVA wants him because Paradox is like you're special, right? And so whatever it is that's special about him, they need him and him only for this specific job. And I've heard people theorize like, oh, it's probably that he's special because he can break the fourth wall, and so that's what they need him to do. And I don't know about you, but I don't like the idea of his fourth wall breaking being canon in the movies and having that be a power of his. Is like, oh well, you can see the fourth wall and you can see that you're in a movie. Like we need that right now. We need you to help us with that because we think because of that you can see through different dimensions. And I'm like, I don't know if I like the idea of him breaking the fourth wall just being a stylistic choice for both the comics and the movies. I don't want them to make that like a power of his,
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna be it. Although I also don't know why in the world you would want to ask Deadpool to help you with something because that man is kind of insane. So like I would much rather get Wolverine to do something for me than Deadpool. Although Wolverine would probably be more hard-headed to get him to do something for you.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Whatever the explanation is, I hope it makes sense. And I mean, it's enough to convince Ryan Reynolds to do it, and it's enough to convince Wade Wilson to say he's Marvel Jesus, so he's excited about it. Also, can I just add, when you call Wade Wilson special, of course it's gonna go to his head. Like he's gonna be like, I'm so awesome. Like I am Marvel Jesus. Like he's so excited to be told he's special. Of course he's gonna do whatever you want him to do. Maybe that's how they got him to do it. They just pamper him a little bit and then they convince him,
Man, I love how this trailer for me plays on two different levels because it's like, Marvel has not been doing well recently. The quality has kind of slumped a little bit and we need someone to save the MCU. This trailer works on multiple levels. Like they need Deadpool to save the MCU. We need Deadpool the movie to save the MCU. And I'm hoping that this is gonna be the one that gets us back on track.
There is a line. Deadpool. There's a line where the sky meets the sea and it calls me. That is what Deadpool is going for. He's going to find that through line. But you know who else does that?
Yeah.
Is freaking Moana, baby. Did you like that segment? That was pretty good. As soon as I thought of it, I was like, oh man, I gotta say that again.
It was a little clunky.
Hey, he's gonna see it. He's gonna sing Moana songs probably in Deadpool 3. He sang Frozen at one point in the first movie, not game. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the Barbara Streisand when she was singing that song. He's like, doesn't this sound familiar?
It sounds like Frozen.
He never says Frozen, but it's like we all knew what he was talking about.
Well, then basically,
you hear me?
Moving on to our Disney movies. Look, I think this entire episode seems like it's a Marvel/Disney stuff.
It's
news.
We don't even have any DC stuff. This is Marvel, very Marvel centric for the most part.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Madam Web, I don't know if that counts anymore. Let's go on to this then. We got Moana 2 being announced. This comes to us from Variety. Disney announced a sequel to Moana, which will be released theatrically on November 27th. The company's CEO, Bob Iger, revealed the news on CNBC ahead of Disney's first quarter of fiscal 2024 earnings report. The second Moana was originally developed as a TV series, but became a feature film because Iger was impressed by the footage. With Moana remains an incredibly popular franchise, Iger said in a statement. We can't wait to give you more of Moana and Maui when Moana 2 comes to theaters this November. Couple things I want to bring up about this. I would have loved to have seen a Moana TV series. I think that would have been really cool. You could, I argue you could have done Moana 2 and a TV series if you wanted to.
Mm.
The other thing I was going to throw in was that thank God Moana 2 is happening and it's an animated film because I did not want to see a Dwayne The Rock Johnson live action Moana, which
Yeah.
I realize now was probably a red herring slash it was Dwayne The Rock Johnson throwing out ideas because his Shazam movie was not working for him.
Supposedly it's still happening though.
No.
They haven't. Supposedly it's still happening.
No.
Yeah. They haven't said. They haven't said it's been canceled.
But you know what? Then now I'm not as mad about it, just because at least I know they're not just giving up on a Moana 2. They're actually making it, and then they can make a live action Moana if they want to.
Right.
But don't do it for like 5 more years or something. I don't want to see that right now. Come on,
Yeah.
man.
When we
What a
talked. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I'll finish with this. What a strange feeling it is to have done a movie and then like 3 to 4 years later they're like, "Oh, here's the remake of the movie in live action." What? We
Well,
did that with Aladdin from the 90s, all the
Yeah.
90s movies we got our remakes, but that's because we took 20 to 30 years to put them out. So, sorry. Go ahead. What are you thinking, Raul?
No, I was it. Well, Moana came out it came out in 2016, so it has been a bit, but not long enough to. When we talked about this on the episode where they announced the live action Moana, and this was my complaint is like, yeah, it's been a little bit, but not long enough that you can reboot it already. At least give us a sequel,
Yeah,
And
that's
I
like
remember I was saying that at the time, like, give us an animated sequel. Like, why are we rebooting this already? Here we are. It's almost what they announced it's going to come out in 2025 or something. I don't know. I don't
something like
remember when
that.
they said, but it's here we are almost 10 years later, and now we're getting a Moana 2. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad. Thank God we're doing Moana 2. Yeah, Moana was great. I mean, everybody loves it. It was like one of the highest streaming movies, either on Disney Plus or ever. I have to check that, but it was doing really well for a while, and
Yeah.
people love this movie. My daughter's obsessed with this movie, and I have been wanting to see a Moana 2, an animated Moana 2 for a long time, and I think a lot of people have. And then when they announced this live action one, I mean, I was just like, okay, cool, but where's the Moana 2? Like because they've done this a lot with the animated live action remakes for
Mm.
Disney. It's like, okay, Aladdin, Cinderella, whatever, but they made sequels. Granted, they weren't all great sequels, but they did make animated sequels to all their animated films before years later remaking them in live action. So I'm happy to see this, and yeah, it's interesting that it started off as a TV series,
Yeah.
and I guess Iger looked at it and was like, "No, what are we doing here? This must have been something from the Chapek era."
Yeah.
Like, oh, we need to pump out stuff on Disney Plus.
Yeah. Which
I don't know. Is that right? Sounds
I
right.
will say that does kind of worry me because Bob Iger's saying the movie, the thing looks cool, so he wants to make it into a movie. But I'm like, well, just because it looks cool doesn't mean it's got a good story to it. So that's the only thing I'm hoping really works itself out when it
Right.
comes out. But yeah, I mean, if this was supposed to be a Disney Plus thing, like my fear is like, we're 90s kids. When we grew up watching an original Aladdin movie and then the TV series came out, it felt like a VHS tape series that was like not high quality and worth really watching all the time. Don't get me wrong. I grew up watching Aladdin, the animated series. Awesome stuff for me as a kid. But you go back now and you watch it and you're like, like I don't. Like you could see why they made this into a TV series rather than made a movie out of these stories. Um, that's what I'm hoping for Moana 2 is that they don't they kind of have a really good plot line to be representing and like presenting us. So I don't know. I want it to be really good. I'm
Yeah.
really hopeful for it. It makes me kind of want to watch the original Moana right now. But also because we're Puerto Rican, this movie kind of gives me a lot of like Islander vibes, and it makes me teary eyed because I'm like, man, I miss my island. Oh man. Every time Grandma sings and like I like to dance in the water, I'm like, ah, dude, you're gonna make me cry, dude. This is such a good movie, and it's so touching. My whole family, we all cried to it because all we could think about was Puerto Rico. But yeah, maybe I will go back and watch this. There's no
Well,
volcanoes exploding though.
you got the Lin-Manuel connection. Although he's not
That
involved in
too.
this movie. He's not involved in the sequel. I think
Yeah,
the
what's up with
music.
that, huh?
Well, I think the music is being done by, oh God, who are they? They did the unofficial Bridgerton Broadway show or something like that, which I've heard great things about. So, but you got the Lin-Manuel connection, and even God, what's her name? Carvalho, I
Oh,
think.
the girl who does the voice of Moana?
Yes, I think she's half Puerto Rican.
Is she really?
I think I'd heard something like that. I'm gonna have to double check that, but I think I'd heard she's half Puerto Rican, half like Polynesian or Pacific Islander.
That's pretty
Um,
cool.
yeah, it's pretty neat. Yeah, man, I'm happy we're getting Moana 2. I hope it's good. I hope there's a reason why they thought it was worth changing it from a TV series into a movie, and I hope that's because they genuinely thought it was good enough to be a theatrical film. So
Also, let me
thumbs
just
up for
add,
me.
Disney has been making a lot of really great announcements. Like I feel like Bob Iger really found a way to redirect how he wanted to handle the company once Chapek left. And this actually brings us to our next topic here, which is Mandalorian and Grogu set for 2026 release. First things first, a Mandalorian movie, I thought sounds like a great idea. Like
Yep.
that's incredible,
Well,
really good
we
thinking.
talked about that. Yeah.
And I also think that Mando's gonna die in this movie, and I'll tell you once I read this quote really quick.
Hmm.
This comes to us from Collider. Disney chief Bob Iger, during an earnings call this afternoon, disclosed to shareholders that a new slate of Star Wars films, a number of which have already been announced, would be coming, with The Mandalorian and Grogu leading the way as a release date has been set for 2026. The Mandalorian and Grogu will be the first Star Wars film to launch ahead of the previously confirmed films. The film will see Pedro Pascal reprise his role as Din Djarin, the titular Mandalorian, alongside Grogu, his foundling and adopted child, whom he met in the pilot episode of the series. There's also still a fourth season of the series to come, which is primed to set up the plot for the film. Okay, so you got season 4. Let me back up a little bit more.
Okay.
When season 3 came out, the show was not called The Mandalorian. The show was actually supposed to be called Mandalorians.
Well, it was called The Mandalorian, but yeah, it should have been called.
Yes, it should have been called that, or it should have been called Mandalore at this point, because the story was almost nothing about Mando himself. You know,
Yeah.
it was more about the people in his community. So to me, I'm getting the sense that the Mandalorian story of Din Djarin is starting to come to a close. So now they're saying here season 4 is coming in, and they're going to set up the next movie. We already have the Ahsoka series having set up that, you know, Thrawn is now in your galaxy. So now this 4th season's going to be another bit of Thrawn stuff. And then you get into the movie. And then what do you do to make this movie of killing Thrawn the most epic thing you can possibly do? A hero sacrifice. So you kill Mando, and then you continue the story through Grogu as he gets older. So in my mind, it makes sense, but also because of another thing, which we're about to talk about probably after this topic, which is Pedro Pascal is going to be Reed Richards in the MCU for Marvel. So
I was
Mr.
going to bring up that
Fantastic.
point. Yep.
So there's so much stuff this guy's doing. He's in the middle of working on the fantastic stuff, but at the same time, he has to work on Mandalorian. He has to work on The Last of Us Part 2. I mean, his schedule is crazy. So I don't think he would have accepted this role of Reed Richards unless he knew that he's gonna probably not be part of some other universes pretty soon. Man, The Last of Us, spoiler alert, if you haven't played Part 2, things don't go too well for Reed Richards, for Joel from The Last of Us. Heck, that's like such. I feel like this is news everybody already knows about that series or about the game in general, because that was the big headline when the game came out. So we all know what's coming. So we know that that's going to be out of the way for him once he's done filming that. Then he can start working on Reed Richards. And then if he needs more time to back it up, he's probably going to pass away as Din Djarin as well and make it the most epic Iron Man moment that you could possibly have. Because think about it. Also, this whole Star Wars thing, this Mandalorian and Grogu movie, it's setting us up for a cinematic universe like the way Star Wars wanted to do this as if they were Marvel. They have been trying to put all these different shows together to make one big movie. So the Mandalorian and Grogu movie might be their endgame that brings in everybody together. You know? That's just me, though. Raul, what do you think about all this, my dude?
Okay, so they did say so the season 4 will come out first, and then the Mandalorian and Grogu movie.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, am I to understand that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not the reverse, which I was worried about because it's like why do a movie and then continue it go back to doing a show to continue it anyway. Okay, so that's good. So they do season 4 and then hopefully build that into the movie. Look, I think, man, and I'm reeling over your theory about him dying.
Oh, man.
But,
it just makes sense to me. That's all. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I'm happy with this. I'm happy with the, we hopefully, yeah, it's good and we can get back and focused on Din and Grogu again. Yeah, are they still doing the are they still doing the team up movie?
Supposedly that's what's supposed to happen. I mean, the whole point of all these different Star Wars TV series was that they were going to try to, put it all together in one big movie so that they can kill Thrawn or something like that. So
yeah,
I'm hoping, but the only thing is that I know they're probably not going to succeed entirely because I'm assuming Thrawn's plan is to bring back the Emperor, which somehow Palpatine returns is now going to be more relevant than we thought.
The worst line in Star Wars.
Yeah,
somehow Palpatine returned. What do you mean? Cop out.
I still think Dave Filoni has saved Star Wars countless times because all his projects have to make up for what happened in movies. So that when you watch his stuff, then you can watch the movies and actually really appreciate them because now everything that happens in these movies makes sense.
Or at least tolerate them.
I feel like
all
of the Dave Filoni verse currently, I think, is trying to make up for somehow Palpatine returned. Like that is the whole purpose, I feel, for all these shows. Which upsets me because I just want to have good stories that are just going to help me make the next movie awesome in general, just cuz, I don't want it to be the reason why this movie has to be good. It needs to just be able to stand on its own 2 legs and make its own thing happen. Which is why I'm excited about Acolyte, because that's going to be a High Republic era, which is going to be really cool, and there's going to be Jedis and Sith killing each other.
And,
cool.
and I'm excited about that. If that James Mangold Origin of the Force movie is still happening.
Oh yeah,
I hope so. But I'm excited about that too because that sounds so different. So this is what I find is funny is that they say this is the next movie coming out. So forget about the Rey movie. And I think it's still
there. It's still there. They're just not
still
working
there,
on it
but
first.
It's so funny. It clearly you can tell they've really focused in on Mandalorian and Grogu because for a while they were saying, no, the Rey movie, that's the next thing that's coming out. That's the next thing. And then they got this idea for Mandalorian and Grogu or something, and they're like, no, you know what? Don't worry about that. This is the next thing that's coming out, Mandalorian and Grogu. So we're just gonna keep pushing the Rey movie back. Yeah, I just thought that was funny.
Scheduling wise, I think that makes sense to me though, because I would much rather Bob Iger decide that, hey, we have to hone in on the whole Mando universe right now, finish up that story, and then we can start telling the future storylines with like Rey and then the past storylines like the Force Begins kind of stuff. Because we are because Star Wars wanted to set up their own cinematic universe with all the TV shows, you can't do what Marvel's doing right now with their phase 4, which was they were putting out all these movies, but absolutely none of them connected. So we don't know why we're watching all these if they don't all connect to each other, because that's how we've been raised to believe that these projects are supposed to be, So I think, finish that finish that connected universe storyline thing, and then move on to the other things, because you don't want to confuse your audiences and go, oh no, that story has nothing to do with blah, blah, blah. I would argue they're already doing that with Andor, because Andor has nothing to do with the Mandoverse. Anyways, those are my 2 cents on that. Any other thoughts on this kind of thing?
No, I'm just all right. Cool. We got a set date now, and I'm just glad it's coming out after season 4 of Mando, so that it's got something to. The show has something to build to.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Well then, yeah, I hope the Star Wars universe ends up working out the way it does. Again, I'm a glass half full kind of guy, so I'm really excited for this universe to explode and do cool things and stuff like that. I'm all for a Mando movie. I do think Mando's gonna die in his movie. Quote me on that. If the movie comes out and he doesn't die, then that's on you, the listener, for watching this show. I'm kidding. No, keep watching this show. Anyways, let's move on to our last topic here today. Or nah, this is not our last topic. This is our how many?
This is our last topic. We're
Oh,
not
okay.
doing a rumor reel this time because there wasn't really any kind of juicy rumors, and we had a lot of cool stuff to talk about. So we just added a sixth topic in our regular topics.
Yes.
So yeah, this is
I
our last
love.
topic.
So our last topic then is a Fantastic Four cast finally announced. Oh my God! So again, we were bringing up Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, but let's read on what else is written here on from IGM and from Instagram. Marvel Studios has not only revealed a new July 25th, 2025 release date for the Fantastic Four, but also the big news that it will star Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm. She's the sister of Queen Elizabeth in The Crown, for anybody who's seen that. And she's also the blonde chick in the new Mission Impossible movie with Tom
That's
Cruise.
right. Yep.
Then we have Eben Moss Backrack as Ben Grimm in The Thing. He's the guy who plays Cousin in The Bear.
The bear. Yep.
Fantastic show. Also, if
Mm.
you watch the movie, the new one with Jennifer Lawrence, where she's in a comedy,
Oh.
um,
Oh,
you know what I'm
God.
talking about?
Is it No Hard Feelings? No.
No Hard Feelings.
Is
Yes,
that it? Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
He's
He-
funny in that too.
He's in that movie. He's the guy who he has a tow truck and he tries to tow
Right.
Jennifer Lawrence's car. Hilarious in that. And then finally we have Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm, who's the dude who did all the Stranger Things guy.
Eddie Munson. Eddie Munson.
Eddie Munson from
Things.
Stranger. And also he's in Game of Thrones. Did you know about this? He
Oh
plays
no, I didn't.
he plays guard number 2 in like the third to last episode of Game of Thrones.
Well, you
or
got to
something
start
like that.
somewhere.
You got to start somewhere, man. But yeah, so then that's the cast. Marvel Studios announced the big news on X/Twitter with an awesome poster that features all of these characters together celebrating Valentine's Day. In a nice touch, it also includes the lovable robot Herbie and includes an image on the wall of Moss Backrack's Ben Grimm as a NASA astronaut before he was turned into the Thing. The rumors for the casting of the Fantastic Four have been some of the biggest floating around in the world of Marvel, and now we finally have our answers. It also confirms John Krasinski, who starred as Reed Richards in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, will not be reprising the role in this film, at least in the starring role. You never know with the multiverse. Wink, 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 wink. Yeah, so I like that they put this out as soon as Madam Web came out, because they were like, don't pay attention. Yeah, look, we
I
gotta
didn't think
pay
about
attention.
that.
Kevin
I didn't
Feige
even-
was probably sweating, thinking, okay, that's when we have to release this announcement.
I
We
didn't
have
even think
to.
about that.
I
Well, it
think-
was on Valentine's Day, so I don't know if there was more because there was like a Happy Valentine's Day, kind of almost like a card from the
Also,
Fantastic Four, from our
dude,
family to yours.
This whole week also has been an X-Men or Fox announcement stuff. Deadpool 3 on Sunday, then we had Fantastic Four on Valentine's Day, and then yesterday, today's the 17th, yesterday
Yes!
was X-Men 97, the animated
X-Men
series.
90. Oh my God, the trailer X-Men 97. We're gonna talk about that for sure.
It's either because Kevin Feige was like, it's time to give him something, or he went, all right, guys, Madam Web's out. We got to distract these guys. X-Men,
X-Men!
Deadpool 3, Fantastic. Just put it all out. Put it all out now. And so
Yeah.
now, yes, we talked a ton about it today, Madam Web, but here we are, loving Marvel still, because we still have all this X-Men food that we got to eat, and it tastes delicious. It's so good. Such good stuff. I'm all for it. I want to talk about this casting list real quick, though, because I want to bring up Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm. I'm going to give this guy some
Yeah.
props, because when I first saw his face appear and they were like, that's the guy, my immediate thought was, no, man, come on.
Really?
No, I don't want. It's supposed to be like he's supposed to be this hot supermodel type of character, like he's supposed to be Chris Evans
You don't
from
think
like the
Joseph Quinn
original.
is a hot supermodel type?
Yeah, I don't think he is. But then two things appeared in my head. One thing, well, maybe one thing appeared in my head. I don't know. One, that's not a lot going on up here. The thing that came up in my head was that this series or this movie, apparently they're trying to base it off of 1963. So
Yes.
if we're talking about who's the sexy supermodel type in the 60s, Joseph Quinn actually fits that image perfectly, because then you see the poster of him in that Fantastic Four image,
We
and
had
he has
lower
like
standards.
he's got like a button up shirt, and like his hair
Yeah.
is combed really nicely, like in the 60s.
All
Like,
American boy.
he's clearly an all-American boy who like every girl thinks he's so attractive. Oh my God. Like that's what was hot and hip at the time,
Yeah,
was his
yeah.
type of persona. So I already see him being this guy who's like, "Hey doll, like how you doing? Like you wanna go catch up, blah 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 blah," trying to hit on girls in our current generation, and all of them are like, that's really cringe. What?" And he's like, "Well, what is cringe? What, are you cringing for what?" Like he wouldn't understand the reference because he's
Yeah.
old, or he lives in a different timeline. But then the other thing was that Joseph Quinn, Johnny Storm, is supposed to be really good friends with Peter Parker. And that really caught my attention, because I don't know if I could have imagined like this supermodel hot guy going, "Hey, Tom Holland, let's go do things that are hot."
Yeah.
And then Tom Holland has to be like, "Okay, mate, let's go do things that are hot." Yeah. He's a listen, Tom Holland's a handsome dude. He's a good looking guy.
I
But
think Joseph Quinn is also British.
oh, that too. Well, so if you put their faces together, like the chemistry looks like it would totally work with the two of them. I saw somebody online saying Joseph Quinn looks like he could be Tom Holland's brother, which they thought was a bad thing, but I'm like, no, that would actually be even better, because like, man, they're good friends. They almost look like each other. Like, they're cool together. I mean, also the actors are both British. They're probably gonna get along a lot better than they
Yeah.
normally would. Not because they're British. Nah, that's probably why, actually. I've noticed Tom Holland gets along really well with British people in general, because he's British as well. All right, there. I threw it out there. British people, you're all friends now. You're welcome. I just saved all of Britain.
All British people know each other.
God save the king. Listen, that's my thoughts on Joseph Quinn. What do you think about Joseph Quinn, though, Raul?
I like Joseph Quinn. Actually, yeah, he is British. He was born and raised in South London, actually. So,
In South London.
yeah, I
Sorry,
think he's.
I had to do it.
I love Joseph Quinn. I love this whole cast. It's funny because this is in recent days, like at least in the recent weeks, we've been hearing a lot of rumors about these four people specifically playing these roles. And it's funny. I'm surprised that it ended up being. Well, of course, we knew Pedro Pascal for a while, but I'm surprised it ended up being the same people for the official announcement. So yeah, I see the official announcement. I'm like, oh, okay. So basically everybody that has been rumored for the past, 4 or 5 weeks for these roles. And it's great. I love Joseph Quinn in Stranger Things. I thought he was, for being a new character that you only got to see for one season, he immediately kind of drew me and endeared me to him, and I really enjoyed his character. So the fact that Joseph Quinn was able to do that and have that effect on me, at least, is a testament to how good of an actor he is. And I really enjoyed watching him in Stranger Things. Also, he's going to be in the Quiet Place prequel.
Oh, really?
Quiet Place Day One. Yeah, he's in there.
Oh, wow! I didn't even realize that was him.
Yeah. So I love this. Eben Moss Bacharach. Yeah, from The Bear. He was in. I really liked him in. There was that mini series on Hulu, The Dropout, with Amanda Seyfried, and Eben Moss Bacharach plays like the reporter that's like trying to dig into. He does a great job. Yeah, he's trying to dig into everything that's going on with the company, and he's great in that show. I really remember enjoying him. He's also kind of, sort of, already in the MCU if we're going by recent news about the Netflix shows being canon. Because in Punisher, he plays David Lieberman, who is like Punisher's sidekick. He's Micro. Yeah, so he's kind of already in the MCU
So
I will see how much they pick
yeah,
from the Netflix shows. Similar to how Mahershala Ali is in Luke Cage, and then
yeah.
he's going to be Blade. I'm curious about those two things, how they're going to settle that. But already involved in the MCU, Vanessa Kirby, haha, Kirby. I like the connection there.
It didn't even hit me. Jack Kirby, Vanessa Kirby.
That's the only reason they hired her. No,
That's the
I
only
love
reason.
her. I love her in the Mission Impossible movies. And God, what else did we say she was in? I can't remember now.
The Crown.
The Crown. Okay, so I haven't seen The Crown, but
So good.
I've heard she's really great in it. Yeah, and then Pedro Pascal. Like I'm everybody's into Pedro Pascal right now. He's like the it guy, right? With everything from The Mandalorian to The Last of Us to now Fantastic Four. He's getting his fingers is digging his fingers into all the big genre franchises now. But he's so great. He does such a great job, and I love. We talked about it last time when we heard the rumors. I love the idea of him playing Reed Richards, and yeah, this just
I
confirms.
I think I'm gonna have to see him in action before I can say that I like him as Reed
Really?
Richards. Yeah,
Why?
because listen, don't get me
Why do you say
wrong.
that?
I think he's a fantastic actor. I just
Ah,
I just
fantastic.
don't. I didn't even realize I did that. Good job, Kevin. I think he's a fantastic actor. There it is again. But he's also I just don't picture him as Reed Richards. I just don't see it. Um, maybe I mean there's so many different versions of him in general. So eventually I'm sure I'm gonna just be like, yeah, it's fine.
Well,
But I want to.
what is it that's what? Why are you not seeing it?
I guess I don't see the asshole in him just yet. I don't see it fully.
Hmm,
Although
the asshole in him.
he has it down pretty well in The Last of Us in the beginning, but it's more of a gruff, quiet type rather than like an actual dude who speaks super smart and just treats everybody like he's better than them. There has to be this sense from Mr. Fantastic that he is kind of full of himself, and
Hmm.
also there's there's little bits of energy of he could be a villain, like he could be a possible villain, like in the comics.
It
There's so
depends
many
on what
moments.
direction. Yeah, it depends on what direction they're going with him.
Like if
Yeah.
he doesn't have that darkness within him when he speaks to people as well, like I feel like he'll be missing something, which I think he's gonna do just fine. I think he's gonna nail it. I just in my head I can't see it yet, and so once I see footage and images and stuff like that, I think the picture will be painted really well in my head. But I'm excited about the cast in general. Vanessa Kirby and what was his name? Rob Elben Moss.
Eben
He's
Moss
gonna
Backrack.
be he's gonna be fantastic as well. So is Vanessa Kirby. Again, Joseph Quinn. I'm into it now. I'm into him. He's gonna be awesome. I think, especially with what they're going for timeline wise.
Ah,
Um, that's gonna be so cool. Also, let me just throw in this because I want to go back to the 1963 thing.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I I had that. Maybe I've said this on the show before. I've always had this theory that if they ever wanted to reboot the MCU, they should start it off in the 60s and like do a 1960s MCU universe.
Mm.
Like
The
MCU
silver,
universes.
yeah, kind of going by the silver age of comics from the 50s to the
Yeah.
60s,
That
or
way
50s to the 70s. Yeah.
you could quite literally copy the comics like image for image at that point because they all were made in that timeline. They were made at that time. Captain America maybe didn't need to freeze in ice. He could be in his 40s or something when this new reboot begins, kind of thing. You have like an older, more jaded Captain America already right from the get go, so he has 10 years to do that kind of character arc. There's so much you can do with it, but I feel like if they are setting this whole thing up in a way that soft reboots. Ooh, excuse me, let me sneeze there
Bless
for
you.
a second. That was the universe of something affecting my body just now. I don't know
Mercury
what I'm.
retrograde.
Yeah, thanks, Doctor Strange. Anyways, I think if they do end up doing a soft reboot of the series eventually, I wouldn't be mad if they
Mm,
soft rebooted into the Fantastic Four's universe in the 1960s. So,
mm,
like, Reed Richards has already met Spider-Man and Captain America and all these other characters, but in his universe.
mm.
So we get a glimpse of his universe, but then he gets taken, him and his family get taken to Secret Wars to go fight against our current MCU.
Interesting. So you're going with the idea that it's a separate universe.
I think not only is it a separate universe, I think they're in the same universe as the X-Men at the end of the Marvels.
Huh. All right.
Because think about it,
Interesting.
they never specified what
Yeah.
time it was in that universe either. That'd be
Well,
pretty cool if the Fox characters that Kevin Feige's trying to put out all belong to the same
hmm.
universe, and they end up meeting the MCU.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I was thinking it was going to be our universe, but and I first of all, I love the idea of a period film set in the 60s, just with
Same.
the Fantastic Four, just kind of giving me like the Incredibles kind of vibes,
Oh
I
yeah.
love this, I love the idea of seeing the Fantastic Four in the 60s aesthetic and just a period film with the Fantastic Four in the 60s. I thought I was speculating that it would be we see the origins of the Fantastic Four, and then by the end of the movie they get taken into the negative zone, and that's where they've been all this time. And then by the time we get to like Secret
Ooh.
Wars or whatever, they get taken out of the negative zone, kind of like similar to like Captain America when he was frozen in ice, but they get taken out of the negative zone into our current timeline.
I mean, that could be where they put the Secret Wars world, the battle world.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
that's
I've heard theories that they just might convert the Void and have that be the MCU's version of
that
Battleworld.
too. They could totally do that.
Everybody
Uh,
ends up in the Void, and
wow,
yeah,
that's a good idea. That's a fantastic idea. There it is again. Every time. Every time. Yeah, well, listen, I'm extremely excited about this casting. I'm glad it's just finally out as well, because now you know that Pedro Pascal is going to get interviews at some point, and they're going to start asking about Fantastic Four, and he's going to have to start talking about it. He better have a group chat with his Fantastic Four family. Let me just say that right now. The text group chat should happen. But yeah, I think it's out in the open. We finally know the news. We don't have to keep on holding on as hard as we can to just give me the answers. It's already there. We already got it. Everything's fine. And I think now we've got a new direction of where we're trying to go. And I think the Fox universe has really been helping us guide the MCU. Again, Deadpool 3, the Jesus of Marvel, is going to bring along all his mutants to change up the MCU again. So it's kind of poetic the way it's happening. It all is working together to help us get this understanding of this new direction of the universe that we're going into. Again, all theories and speculations of what I think was going to happen in Fantastic Four, but if it is taking place in 1963, it's going to be cool. I
yeah,
think it's got a lot of really good potential, and it also explains why we haven't seen the Fantastic Four in the MCU before. So that's another pretty cool thing.
right.
But that all being said, we also have those are all our main topics of the day,
It's all
you
our main
guys.
topics. We don't have a
Um,
rumor reel, so
no rumor reel,
just the
but
five
just
topics.
but just because I want to hear that sound effect, you know what? I just realized I
I
don't think
can't
I
hear
was
it.
sharing the sound, so
I
nothing happened.
was gonna say
Now
I can't
settle
hear
in,
it.
folks. It's time for the rumor reel. Rumor reel. Rumor reel. There you go. There you go. I'm embarrassed.
We did it live.
We
We're
did it
doing it
live.
live. Yeah.
So our next thing here is our movie trailers. Let me list these movie trailers off real quick. It's movie/TV trailers. We got A
Right.
Quiet Place Day 1. We got Despicable Me 4. We have Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Wicked. We have Twisters. And then we got If. Then we have Deadpool and Wolverine. Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire. And X-Men 97. So I know you were excited about X-Men 97. So
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on this, man?
Well, I'm just gonna pick. Yeah, I'd say I don't know. I don't know about you, but I'm just gonna pick one and talk about it. I loved all these trailers, but really, I just want to talk about X-Men '97. This came out yesterday. Today's the 16th. This will be coming out tomorrow, the 17th. But yesterday, the 15th, this trailer came out for X-Men '97, and I'm so excited. I want to go back and watch the old shows again. I'm so excited. For some reason, like when they announced X-Men '97 was happening, I was like, oh, that's cool. All right, cool. We'll see what happens. And it was just kind of like, okay, I was a little bit excited, but nothing too crazy. Seeing this trailer, it just like took me back instantly to being a
Mm.
kid, sitting and watching Fox Kids, watching the X-Men and all these amazing animated shows. And I was just transported, Kevin. I was transported back to the mid 90s watching these shows. The theme song and the animation style, they kept the same animation style. And even the voice acting is like kind of the same. They like kind of harkens back to the style of voice acting back in the day, and it was like they never took a break. It
Mhm.
just like literally they said they made the promise it's gonna be picking up right after the end of I think the fifth season, after the series finale just picks right up after that, and it's like they actually did. Like if you told me like, oh no, this is all a lie. This is actually footage from X-Men 97, from the season 6 on,
Mm.
and I would have believed you. I would have believed you. But no, this is new. This is coming out now. This is coming out this year in March, I think March 30th,
I think
something
so.
like that. I'm so excited. It's just like my level of excitement is just like through the roof now. So I'm happy. That's it. I wanted to talk about X-Men 97.
I mean, listen, I never watched the original X-Men series, but the trailer alone got
Oh,
me excited because the
so good.
animation looks so cool. Apparently, it's made by the same animators who worked on the Avatar: The Last Airbender series, and a bunch of other
Okay.
shows that I'm blanking out on right now. But all you had to say was Avatar. It's a South Korean company that's animating this, so
Okay.
it looks fantastic. The fight sequences in the trailer alone looked so cool. Also, most of the original cast is coming back for it. There's like one guy who I think passed away, and a few others who are either being replaced because they retired. But for the most part, the main cast is pretty much all there from the original series,
Yeah.
and they still sound the same from what I've heard. So yeah, I think there's a lot of really cool stuff happening there. I'm excited.
Got to give a quick shout out to a friend of mine, Isaac Robinson Smith, who is Bishop on the show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
also Ray Chase is the
Super nice.
voice of
Super nice
Cyclops.
guy.
If you guys ever play Final Fantasy 15 with Noctis, the character Noctis is the same voice actor who's working on Cyclops. So that's
Ooh.
pretty cool. His name is Ray Chase. And so that's, I mean, yeah, I'm excited. I'm probably gonna watch it. Maybe I'll do like a quick synopsis kind of thing of the series itself from the original series because there's like I think there's almost 100 episodes or something like that. So, but they're 20 minutes. Maybe I should just binge the whole
They're
thing.
quick. They're quick. I want to go back now and just rewatch the whole series again. Oh
Man.
man, it was that was one that and the '90s Spider-Man show really got me into just Marvel comics, comic books, just superheroes in general. Those two shows specifically. Oh, and Batman the Animated Series. Those three were
Oh yeah.
like the pillars for my fandom for superheroes and comics, and it was my entry into this world. So,
Well
I'm
then,
so excited now.
let me just bring up another trailer here, which is I'm only going to talk about two of these. One is Wicked, because Wicked
Mm,
has been a musical theater film that has been in limbo for like
right.
almost 15 years at this point. It's been on limbo in Hollywood for so long that I almost thought they were never going to put it out. So when this trailer dropped during the Super Bowl, I flipped out because I was like, "Oh my God, they actually did it! They actually committed! This is incredible, awesome!" I hope it's great. I hope it's good. I heard maybe they were going to split it into two parts, which I think is a bad idea, but we'll see what they come up with. That'll be great. But then now moving on to the other trailer I wanted to bring up was Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire. I mean, what's not to love about giant kaijus beating each other up?
Looks like fun.
Godzilla Godzilla and Kong teaming up to fight a giant orangutan and his monkey army. I mean, that sounds so funny and cool.
It's like a
Uh
tag team wrestling match. It looks great.
yeah, like I'm gonna be going into that movie not expecting an Oscar-worthy thing. I'm just going in for WrestleMania and just I want to see people beat the crap out of each other. If you can do less human interaction stuff, great. That's awesome. If you like human stuff and kaiju stuff, go watch Project Monarch, or I think it's called just Monarch on Apple TV.
Or Godzilla
Apparently,
-1.
Godzilla minus one. Yeah, go watch Godzilla minus one. I hope Godzilla minus one is getting people to want to go watch Godzilla X Kong because there's something about it that is it's just so good, man. Um, but yeah, I think that's all on my end here. I mean, go watch Twisters if you want. That's
Twisters looks
supposedly
fun.
it's like they copied the Alien thing where there's a guy James Cameron was
Twisters.
when James Cameron was in the room with all the producers and executives of the company that was working on Alien, he was like Alien, and then he adds an S at the end, aliens, and then he just turns it into a
Aliens.
money symbol, and all the producers go, "Yes, we like that. Do
That's how
it."
it happened.
That's how it happened.
I actually did not know that. That's
He
funny.
went. So in this one, they went Twister, and all the producers are like, "Uh huh."
Yes, yes.
at the end with a money symbol. Do
Yes!
it! Let's get
Yes!
Glenn Powell in there. Let's
Oh,
get
I
him to
love
do
Glenn
it.
Powell. I'm so excited to see him in this. He's a star on the rise, man, and I loved everything I've seen. I've seen him ever since Scream Queens, which he's got a funny role in that show, Scream Queens, which is, it's been a few years now, but
Also,
I've been watching him ever since, yeah.
because we always go back to superheroes, I want to see him as Booster Gold so badly.
Oh, he's going to do a superhero film for sure at some point
He would
within
be
the next few years.
incredible. He'd be so good.
Mark my words.
He just has that charming, like, handsome guy face that's just like
Totally.
it's just so it's such a punchable face too, and that's why it would be perfect for Booster Gold, because Booster Gold's just so full of himself, and he's a time traveling fanboy of all the superheroes. So
I'm predicting within the next 5 years he is going to land a superhero role.
Oh, 100%.
Marvel, it could be DC. He
That
for
dude's gonna be
sure will
big.
land a role like this.
he's already a big star. Like he's gonna start making it even bigger and bigger after all this is done. So
oh yeah.
and I still want to go watch Anyone But You with Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell, because apparently he did a comedy romantic, like a rom-com, and everybody's been saying that rom-coms don't do well. Well, here's this one, and it's succeeding so much. I think it made over 180 million with I think like a $20 million budget or something like that. I can't remember what the numbers were exactly, but they made a lot of money off of it, is what I've been hearing. So that's pretty good for Glenn Powell if he wants to go out and do other movies. So,
he was also in a movie that I really like. It was another rom-com called Set It Up, which is a really, really sweet and funny kind of rom-com. Came out a few years ago. But he was great in that too. He can do action, he can do comedy, he can do drama, he can do it all. So he's definitely a guy to watch.
Yeah, I agree. Well, then, with that all being said, you guys, we made it to the end! Thanks for listening, everybody! You can follow us on social handles at Real Geek News, at Kevin A. Rivera VO, and at Raul Ceballos VO.
That's right. We also have a YouTube channel. You can go on there. We can check out. We put full episodes. We cut all the topics into separate clips too, and you can check out our movie reviews. And hopefully soon we'll start doing movie reviews again. But yeah, hit the bell, like, and subscribe.
Let us know how you feel about our show with reviews on Apple Podcasts or our email, realgeeknews@gmail.com.
That's right. Send us a question, and we might read it on the show.
Might. Who knows? With all that being said, stay safe, stay classy, and most important of all,
Stay geeky, my friends.
so long.